What is up, everybody? Welcome to the 20 Podcast, bringing you interviews with the best DJs, producers, and music industry professionals from around the globe. I'm your host, DJ Spider. Yes, we're in the house. What up, my Beatsourcers? Thank you for tuning in week after week. Really appreciate the support. This podcast is brought to you by Beatsource. That's right, Beatsource.com. Make sure you check out Beatsource Link, which is your ability to DJ from the cloud. We've got expertly curated playlists made by amazing DJs themselves. We've got special edits. We've got remixes. We've got intros, outros, acapella outs, transitions. All kinds of amazing stuff is on there. So please try it out, Beatsource.com. I think you're going to love it. Hit me with any questions you got. And if you do want to hit me up, thank you. I appreciate all of the wonderful messages that I get from you guys all the time on Instagram or wherever you write me. My website is DJspider.com, spelled out DEEJaySpider.com. Or my Instagram is just DJ Spider, DJSPIDER. You guys are always writing me on there, and I really appreciate it. Any feedback you got about the podcast or whatever questions you got for me, thank you. Come out to my shows, say hello in person. I'd love to see you. And now on to today's guest, an incredible guest. As always, we've always got incredible people coming in. But this episode, I really feel like some meaningful stuff was said. You know, we got some really good things you could learn from this. So I want to tell you about this amazing woman who has lived a life, okay? A real crazy life up to this point, and there's only amazing things ahead for her. I know it. She has DJ'd and worked with so many legendary people that we couldn't even fit it all into this podcast episode, but you will get a taste of it, and then you can look her up and find out everything. In 2004, Prince asked her to DJ for him and collaborate with him. Ended up being her mentor for the next 10 years. They went on tour together, doing live shows, private parties, going on TV shows, all types of stuff. I mean, the story is incredible. She's also toured the world with other incredible artists like Khalees, CeeLo Green, Pharrell, Bruno Mars. She's been a resident DJ on TV shows like America's Best Dance Crew on MTV. She also is a cultural influencer, apart from being a DJ, and fashionista. She's always looking super cool in any picture you see her in. She's been featured in magazines like Vogue Italia, Essence, Vibe, The Source, Flaunt, Remix, Dazed and Confused, Refinery 29, to name a few. Barack Obama, yes, that Barack Obama, he selected her to be one of the 3 DJs that played for him and were part of his re-election campaign. She plays everything from high-end events, movie premieres, music festivals, legendary parties like Soul in the Horn with Natasha Diggs, all types of amazing things. She can really do it all, from the most underground thing to the most mainstream thing. But within all of it, she is herself, and I think that really shines through, and she really conveys that on this episode. So, you know, within all of this as well, she's a mother, a wonderful mother to an 8-year-old girl, which we get into that parent talk, and she somehow keeps it all balanced. And one of the many amazing things about her that I think is that she's so genuine, and she really does things for the right reason, and that shines through on this episode too. She's very tapped into her spirituality, and she says some really important and meaningful things on this episode. You might have to rewind them and listen back to really get the whole gist of it, because it's really deep and it's really smart and good. I loved getting to talk to her, and I really think you will all love and enjoy listening to our conversation. So please welcome to the show, DJ Rashida. All right, we're here. It's the 20 Podcast, and we've got DJ Rashida in the house. Make some noise.
What up? What up? What up? Yes.
We got sound effects going on in the background. Don't worry. We got
Sweet.
Post-production. Everyone's cheering. Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time. I know we're both busy with being professional DJs, professional parents, and
our
just
real
having
jobs.
a life. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, the real job. Our real boss.
Our real boss.
Our actual boss. That's the thing of being a DJ. There's no boss, right? Really, but we got our kids.
We have our children now, and we were laughing earlier about it. It's like we went from creating this life of no schedule, no waking up in the morning, and now we are on a schedule.
Yes.
And we have bosses.
Exactly.
Like, very demanding bosses.
Yes, like you said, like part of the reason I love doing this is because I didn't have to wake up at a certain time, and now there's a lot of waking up at a certain time.
It was our world.
Yes.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I know sometimes I wonder, like, am I a bad influence on his sleeping? I'm like, you can sleep in tomorrow. Like, other parents are probably like, you're up by 6 a.m., make your bed. I'm like, yo, you slept till 8:45. I'm so proud of you.
That,
like,
oh my God, when my daughter was younger, I was just waiting for like the day she would stop waking up at like 6 and 7 a.m. And yeah, sadly, I also am that parent. I'm totally encourage a good sleep in.
yes.
And,
They need it. Come on with the whole like lack of
need it.
sleep thing. You know,
We
they're
need it
growing.
too.
We need it. Yeah, we want to, they want us to be happy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Happy parents, happy child.
Yes, exactly.
Happy life.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I would, I'm excited to hear more about your story and share it with the listeners. And I think it will inspire everyone. And, you always seem so happy and give off such an amazing aura and energy, around all of everything you do, I think, so,
I love that.
yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. And, do you want to tell everyone about yourself a little bit?
Ooh, where do we start? First and foremost, I am a mother. That is my main gig now.
Yes.
But, as far as DJing goes, I've been DJing for 25 years now, if the math is right on that. Since 1998, that's when I got my decks. And I have been very blessed to have turned this thing that I love and did for fun and, all of that into a full-on career that has taken me everywhere in the world I ever wanted to go, introduced me to all of my living heroes, and being able to work with them and just all of that. It's pretty amazing and like, wow.
Oh, yeah, it's incredible.
Just wow.
I know. Yeah, sometimes I look back like how, just doing this in your room can lead to all of this stuff and traveling the world and the type of people you meet. And even this year alone, the things I've done, I'm like, my mind is blown that I get to DJ and go to these places. And
that piece too, right? Like, are you not in awe of the fact that like we're still doing this?
Yeah,
back in the day,
totally.
I feel like I had an idea that there was an expiration date on this.
100%.
Right? And that's clearly not the case because all of my heroes that are 10 and 20 years older than me are still rocking. And it's really beautiful.
That's why it's dope to see the 50th anniversary of hip hop thing. I think it's really representative of DJing because, that is hip hop. That is the 50th anniversary in a way. He was throwing a party, and DJing there. And to see like these massive tours going around, selling out, from that Yankee Stadium thing to just all these amazing events. I think that shows in a way too, because same thing. I'm like, oh, when I'm 40, I don't know if I'll be doing that, and now I'm like in my mid 40s.
Literally.
And we're like, I'm planning out what's going to happen, next year and all types of stuff. Yeah.
No, for sure. I felt like 40, but I think in general, I felt like 40 was an expiration for all sorts of things.
For everything.
I had no idea that there was life after that. And, actually a really great, fruitful, beautiful life,
Totally. But it's cool to see like you said, our heroes, like Jazzy Jeff and all these people doing these massive shows.
So
and
dope.
I know you just did something pretty dope, like a silent disco with DJ Spinna.
With Spinna, for the 50th anniversary. We did it at Lincoln Center, and it was so doggone fun. It was just, we played for, I think, 2 or 3 hours, and, that's really not long enough to get into all of your favorite hip-hop stuff. Can I curse?
Yeah, say whatever.
Because I curse, and I was I'm about to keep I'm about to do it, and I'm like, oh wait.
No, you can say whatever.
Yes, you know, all of our favorite hip hop shit from, you know, throughout all the years, and so it was so freaking fun, and everybody's singing along, and it was a trip though. Playing like I had to do like a double headphone situation, and that was weird.
Silent disco is weird.
That was my first one. That was pretty weird, but other than that, it was just so fun. And then getting to play with Spinna, you know, that's my brother, but he was and is still one of my DJ heroes. You know, he's somebody I've always looked up to, and so that too, like full circle, like here we are, just, you know, going 2 for 2 casually, you know? And it's like back in the day, if you had told me that I was going to be doing that one day, I would have been like, I did it. I made it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I know how many moments you have like that now where you're like, I'm with this person and that person and doing this. And I mean, and you've done so many amazing things, you know, I want to get into. But yeah, the silent disco, just to talk about that for a minute, is super weird, especially when you take off the silent disco headphones and you hear everybody singing along. They like sound hilarious. Like
you can see who actually knows the lyrics and who don't.
Who's just imitating, making the sound of it. That's super dope. Yeah, I saw some videos of that online. Like it looked really fun.
It was fun. It was cool.
And so, I mean, like I said, like your career, you know, has been so expansive and like all over the place. Like, you know, I think we come from a similar place of DJing to DJ and for music and just getting into it because we love music and we just want to sort of spread music to other people, right? And play them what we thought would be amazing and just the art of it. I know that your influences come from hip hop and all that kind of world, but also the dance world and jungle drum and bass and deep house and dance hall and reggae and kind of anything that's really drums and bass like influence is like the main thing, and just soulful, right?
For sure.
And I know, you know, you love the art of DJing and that's why you started, and you come from the kind of that, I guess, underground world.
1,000%.
Right.
Yep.
And in the same way, we thought there wasn't a way to make a living from that. It was just, that's what we did because that's what we did, right? For fun.
Yeah, because I would have done it for free. I would have done it for, you know, I remember the first gig that I got paid a substantial amount, and it was like $400, and I was just like, oh my God. My dad, my dad always jokes with me about, he was like, I'll never forget you, Rashida, you were so excited. You were like, if I could get $400 every time I DJ, like that's it. I'll be, I'm doing it. And I was just so happy, like, to get paid to do this thing that I would just gladly do for free, And I mean, obviously, 20-something years later, it's a different story, but that was the passion that got this whole thing rolling. I was so happy to be a bedroom DJ, and even my very first gigs, like my very first gig. Do you remember Frank 151?
Yeah, of course. The magazine, like the little one.
The little magazine. So I was in Atlanta. Those were my homies. I contributed to that magazine. I took photos. I modeled. Like I did all sorts of random shit. So of course, for their first, it was like their first party. Yeah. They knew I was a bedroom DJ, and they're like, Rashida, you have to, like, they forced me, like, you got to do it. And I was so terrified. And, I'll never forget, I think like the first record that I put on, I went to blow like the dust off of the record, and the needle was just like across the record, And that was my first lesson too in playing live, and like shit's gonna go left, and how do you recover from it, and you keep it pushing. And I put the needle back on. I was like, okay. But also I love how I was so new to it, but I was also like such a purist. Like that first party, I was not concerned with like rocking it, like making people dance. I was playing For Hero, like drum and bass remix, like beautiful music. But looking back on it, it's hilarious because it's like, this is not party music, but God bless, my folks at Frank 151, because they knew what I was about, and of course the party was great. But that was literally my very first party that I ever played out.
That's crazy. That's really cool. But I think that in a way, even though it was your first gig, it represents everything up till now about who you are, because you are still someone that sticks to who you are, even within the constraints of whatever environment you're in, right? Your DJ gig. So if you're asked to do like now you're more experienced and you're more knowledgeable with all the music.
And I'm
probably
more flexible than I used to be.
100% same. Like I was like, this is what I'm doing. I don't care if anyone dances. This is why I'm here. Same, playing drum and bass records.
You're going to catch these beats, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. Yeah. But there is something nice to be able to like, that's the cool thing about doing events. I know you do a lot of events and stuff, and that you can still be yourself and they'll hire you for who you are. And especially nowadays more than ever, I feel like. So there's something to like sticking to your guns or sticking to like what the music you love and then
1,000%
adding in the other stuff, I guess, right?
Actually, I have a great story about that. We'll get into it. I don't know if it's.
Well, tell it.
Should I just get into it? Okay.
Yeah, please.
Well, I have an announcement to make that I'm very excited about, and it's a full circle moment, and I'll give the story behind it, which speaks to exactly what you're talking about. So, I just did this really dope remix for Shaka Khan of "I'm Every Woman." They're getting ready to, put out this. Super dope compilation of her music, and I was super excited to do it for all the obvious reasons. And as I was working on this remix, I was thinking about like the break. Like I want to do something that just like takes this somewhere else. And I was like, oh, I want percussion. Like I want to like take this to Brazil or something. And so I'm sitting there going back and forth with my engineer homie, and like we're like, we could get this person, that person. I was like, wait a minute. I know the illest session player percussionist like in the world,
right?
Sheila E, right?
Yes. So I knew you were gonna say that.
I hit her up, and she was down, and she is on this remix, and
incredible.
It's I'm over the moon about it. It's set to drop in November. They're inducting Shaka into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and so anyway, let me give y'all the background story on this, how this came full circle. So the very first time that I played a party for Prince, at that time I was a resident DJ at the House of Blues, the Foundation Room, and God bless the House of Blues. They were one of the people at the time that like allowed me to just come in and do me, right?
Right.
Which was very much like what we were just talking about. I was a purist. I was like, you gonna hear what I got to play, and that's it. And also, this was pre-Serato, so it's like I had my record crates, and it's what's in these crates that's what we got.
Yeah, that's what you get.
So, anyhow, I'm playing this party. Everybody had told me, first and foremost, don't look at him, don't talk to him, don't make eye contact, like all this wild stuff. So here I am with my little records. I'm playing. He's the first person that comes into the party, so I can't not look at him. I can't. But anyway, he came right up to me, and he starts talking to me about the records that I'm playing. And so I'm playing these records, and he's like, yo, like, so-and-so's playing on that, and like, how do you know about this music, and da-da-da-da. So already these records, which by the way, I had friends in the industry at the time who had told me like, yo, Rashida, if you want to play like the A-list parties, if you want to make money doing this, you have to start playing top 40.
Right.
And at the time, my crates had no top 40. It had whatever rare groove and funk and soul and house and drum and bass and weird stuff. It had whatever I was into. And so, at that time, I wasn't making a lot of money. Even with my amazing residency at House of Blues, it wasn't for a lot of money. And anyway, so long story short, my hero, Prince, is impressed with these records that everybody had told me was like not going to get me too far.
Right.
So that was one. So then the party starts. People are coming in. I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my God, it's like all these amazing artists and just all these people. I'm like, this is incredible. So then I see Sheila E. from across the room, and she's talking to Lenny Kravitz. And I'm just like, oh my God, Sheila. Like, I was really excited to meet Prince, but as soon as we started talking, it just felt very familiar, and it was so easy, right?
Yeah.
So I can't say that like let's just say I didn't fan out in the way that I did when I saw Sheila. I was like, oh my God, like she's here, like she's right over there, and whatever. So at that time, again, I had my crates. A part of my part of my little repertoire at the time was George Duke, "I Want You for Myself," like one of my favorite disco songs. And I start playing it, And next thing I know, here comes Sheila and Lenny. They're walking over to me, and I'm like, oh my God, like she's coming over here, and So anyhow, she comes over to me, and she's like, I'm playing on that record, on this George Duke record, right? Which I had no idea. Now I hear her on it. Of course, that's all I hear on there is her.
Of course.
But I had no idea. And, that's how she and I hit it off. So now fast forward to, her being my sister and my friend and me being able to ask her to come be on this remix. It's going back to the point of what you just said. Like, had I tried to follow the blueprint or the whatever people were telling me was what I needed to do to get to where I was going,
Yeah.
I would have never had these incredible opportunities and really too, it's like my people wouldn't have been able to find me if I had been playing, somebody else's playlist. It's like literally just me doing me is what magnetized my people and really my heroes to me,
Yeah.
So
that's
my
it's
story.
so cool to hear. I love that. No, that's amazing. And it's so true. It's like you were sending that signal out and just showing your true colors and who you are and who you represent and who you want to represent and what you want to manifest or, whatever it is, you're just putting it out there. And like you said, the magnetism, you're attracting them. And they don't even realize it either, probably, but it was just meant to be. It was like the universe kind of, okay, I'm going to create this situation here. What are you going to do with it in a way?
It's a beautiful thing. And like, we have to trust that, us being ourselves is more than enough. It's what this whole experience
That's so true.
On earth is about, we're all so unique in our experiences and everything, there's nobody else like you. And so it would be a disservice to yourself to try to fit into, not that I think there's anything wrong with like having inspirations and whatever, but like,
Of course.
you gotta do you. So I work with a lot of youths, and that's like one of my favorite stories to tell them, like, you do you, and all these things that, the things you want and things that you didn't even know you wanted will come to you.
Right.
You don't have to do anything.
We're
but
all
be you.
trying to impress, I guess, when you're younger, you want to impress other people or you think that's what you're supposed to do. But the most impressive thing ends up being yourself. And that's the most genuine thing that will attract the other genuine people that you probably need to be around and want to be around. Even though, and that's why as parents, we tell our kids, be yourself, have fun, and it's true, but I guess you have to experience it yourself to get to that point.
Oh, the babies. We've been talking about the babies all day before we started this interview, by the way.
I mean, they
I'm like, I feel it coming on.
Yeah. But it's the same. I think even from our own children, probably teaching us lessons and it's a weird distorted mirror in a way that shows you things, right? To then, like you said, you working with youth and teaching other people. I'm sure that teaches you things, inspires you, brings you happiness, lets you maybe, I don't know, see things through a different perspective and maybe not stress out about things that don't need to be stressed out about.
Yeah, I just feel like whenever I work with the Fresh Air Fund in New York, and now I'm working on...
And what is that?
So Fresh Air Fund takes kids from the inner city to the country in the summertime, and there's all these dope different programs that they put on. What I do with the girls is I do a DJ clinic and an empowerment talk where basically I talk about what we're talking about here, creating your life and all of that jazz. And also I'm starting the program here at Sola Impact in South Central LA at the Beehive, shout out. And
they've been doing a lot of stuff, right?
Yes.
Everyday
so
People's been there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. No, because the space is so dope. So people have been doing events there.
A bunch of events, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm bringing the DJ clinic and the empowerment talks to them, and I've done them in the Caribbean, I've done them other places here in LA, but what was my point? The kids. But I feel like I go do these things and I'm like, I should be paying y'all to be able to come work with these kids because I get so much out of it, It's such soul food, and like you said, it's just the mirrors,
Yeah, Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because like I said, I was talking to Melody last week, and he has a DJ school, and
dope.
I feel like there's certain, people as a whole in every industry, but DJs, can kind of get bitter and older and jaded and upset or this and that. But some of the DJs that give back or that have schools seem to have this different type of happiness and open, their eyes are open in a different way and their ears are open in a different way, and they hear music and they get that back and forth that's different from just having your job,
I mean, at the end of the day, too, what are people, when you leave this earth physically, what is left here? It's not your accomplishments. It's not, how much money you made or what dope party you did or whatever. It's how you made people feel. Yes. And it's the connections that you make with people, right?
So true.
So when you're over here working with these kids, it's like that connection and even to be able to inspire or encourage them in any way, shape, or form, man, that's worth it's worth more than gold, you know what I'm saying? And you can't take the gold with you anyway.
Right.
So
yes, that's true. That's incredible. That was like on my list of stuff to talk about, was just like giving back to community and kids and anybody. It doesn't even have to be kids, just anyone that wants to learn and that needs that connection, like you said, to make them feel a certain way, and then they make you feel a certain way. Is there anything that stands out about like things that you've learned from the students or those experiences, or just kind of the whole thing?
Oh man. I mean, sometimes it kind of, I think it puts things in perspective too.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things when I do the clinics with the kids is getting them to not feel that like self-conscious embarrassment kind of thing. Because in the beginning, I mean, there's some kids who right off top are like, I'm ready, like put me on, And then there's other kids who are just like, they don't even want to come up and try because it's going to be in front of everybody and they don't want to mess up. And so one of the first exercises I do is like, come up, mess with the record, like let's scratch it. Okay, see that's now. Let's put the two records together and it sounds like shoes in a dryer. Like let's listen. Yep, no, that sounds crazy. And it's funny, it's like it's really not a big deal. And kind of going back to like my first gig where the needle went across the record. It's like. Yeah, and nobody died, and we're moving on to the next record, and it's okay,
Exactly.
And just like seeing them kind of like get over that part. I love it, because then after that, then it's fun for them,
right?
And and then they're excited to do it, and seeing the first time that they mix two records together, like the pride and just like how excited they're. I mean, I'm getting chills. Like that for me is just.
That's the best.
I love it.
So great.
I should pay them. I should pay these organizations to let me come do it,
Well, yeah, I think it's two-way street. They're so lucky to have you. And I think, you're so in tune with the music, but also I don't know what you would call it, the spirituality or just the whole feeling around it, So I think it's helpful for them to get that whole package, in a way. And well, let's talk about, you mentioned Prince and, obviously that's a huge part of your life. Can we talk a little bit about like leading up to that? I know you're from LA originally, right? Mm-hmm. But you've also lived in a lot of different places.
Yep.
So like your upbringing, like were you around music a lot, and where did you live? Like did the different places you live influence your music,
Totally. Yeah, big time.
Consumption at all? Or?
Yeah, so I was born here in LA. This is where my dad's side and all of his family are from. And my mother is from New Mexico, and that's where her side, all of them reside. And when I was little, I spent most of my childhood in New Mexico, Las Vegas, New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Then I moved to Atlanta. I went to high school and college there, and then I moved back to LA. Okay. And I would always come to LA in the summers, and so it's kind of funny because whenever people have asked me whether I was in Albuquerque or Atlanta, where you're from, I've always just said LA, which is hilarious because I'm now at this point I've spent most of my life here, but at that time, I was always in other places, but I was like, I'm really from my people from LA. That's where we from. Right. But musically, oh my God, it's my parents. It's my parents. My mother I always forget this part, but my mother was actually a DJ. She was a Spanish radio DJ.
Oh, amazing.
And she was really into salsa and soul and jazz and things of that nature. So that I got from growing up in her household, in my dad's household, you know, soul and funk. But my dad also was just into really cool shit, like Brazilian, like a lot of Brazilian, you know, Milton Nascimento and, Antonio Carlos Jobim and people like that my dad really loved. So I grew up listening to a lot of that. And he loved just dope shit like the Beach Boys and like, what's the album, Asia? This is crazy because this is such an obvious one. Asia and Black Cow.
Okay,
I don't know who I'm talking about. It's anyway. He just liked my dad's taste in music. I'm still impressed with it, and I definitely soaked a lot of that up. And Steely Dan.
Oh, okay, that's what I was going to say too. And I'm like, I'm going to sound like an idiot if I say it. Yes.
But just like the stuff kind of to the left, and. So that's for sure my musical origins. And then, around like 10 years old, 11 years old, I started getting into my own thing, which was definitely hip hop and R&B, Uptown Records. I felt like one day I'm gonna move to New York and be a part of Uptown Records, like for real. Like I used to fantasize about it. And actually, funny enough, before he transitioned, Andre Harrell and I had dinner, and I got to tell him that. I said, I was like 11 years old in Albuquerque, and like I pretended my room was an apartment in New York. I'd never been to New York, had no idea what New York was about. Yeah. But I told him my whole thing is like I was like best friends with Mary J, and like Jodeci was like those were my homies, and like and he laughed and he said, you're not the first person that's told me that. And I said, but like you created a world enough that I felt like I could like step into it with really having no idea what that was, but like he created enough of a world that I felt like, oh yeah, like that, I'm a part of that. So
that's true.
So anyway, so hip hop, R&B, all that jazz. And then in Atlanta, God bless Atlanta, it is the reason that I am a DJ, all the different music scenes they had there. When I discovered house music and jungle, like for me, that was it. That's when I was like, I need turntables. I don't know what kind of magic sorcery they're doing, but I just want to be able to do it in my bedroom, know? So that also just like turned my world on and out. And that was my own music too, right? It's like my parents' music was great. And of course, that all came back around too when I started digging in the crates and stuff. And it was like, oh, such and such sample. I'm like, oh shit, I already have it. I have my dad's record or whatever. And then I kind of went back to that, getting really into their music. But oh my God, like drum and bass, jungle, and house, deep house was like, it was mine,
Yeah, totally.
It was my own thing. And hip hop for sure.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, same. Drum and bass was like my hip hop, drum and bass were like my top, things. And it, like you said, it was my music, is what I would collect, what I was into. And that's what got me into DJing too. Same thing. Like, how are they, just watching them blend those, like being at raves and just watching I didn't know what they were doing.
Same.
And, but I was like, I need to do that.
It's amazing.
And then mixed with wanting to do a DJ premiere was whatever sound he was making. I'm like, I want to mix that together somehow, so that was the same kind of thing growing up here. I don't know what DJs like were you into at that time? Do you remember?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, in the jungle drum and bass scene, my main DJ hero was Chemistry and Storm. Yeah. But all the metalheads like Goldie and all that, I was into all of that. And Ronnie Size and all of that jazz.
It's dope to see them all still doing it and killing it now.
This is the thing. Like, this is what we were just talking about, the expiration date that we somehow...
And sticking to what they love. And it all goes up and down and comes back around. And
that part too is wild. And, even for us too, right? Like that being our origins, like, for how long did you not get booked to play a jungle gig that you could actually, pay your rent or something off of? Yeah. Whereas now it's like, I think, it's just because of the social media and internets and all the things, the world is so much smaller in that way that like, a lot of this music that was underground that we've always been into is now there's like a space for it in.
Yeah.
You know, you could go do a commercial gig and they're like, oh, yeah, we want to hear some house. Like, oh, word? Like,
right.
That would have cleared the floor at a, let's say a corporate gig back in the day.
I just did the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like family event because there's no parties because of the strike right now for the actors.
Right.
But they were like, yeah, we want all 90s hip hop. And I was like, what do you mean? And then they were showing me the soundtrack and they're like, these are the songs in the movie. And it was like, MOP, Grave Diggers. Like, I'm like,
God.
What is going on? I'm like,
Who
this is a
did
kid event?
Right.
Someone, I mean,
Who
whoever.
did the music supervision on that? Because
I definitely looked
not
them
the grave
up.
diggers.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm
know.
like, is that appropriate for children?
No, that was the
Definitely
other
not.
funny thing was that I looked up the official soundtrack on Spotify and it's all not clean versions and like crazy things, but I had to play all clean versions, which was actually kind of challenging at this.
I was about to say, like,
I had to go find them or make them or do stuff, but still at the same time to be able to play that music that I was just doing for free in my room, and then I'm getting paid to do this. And my son's standing next to me, and he's like, I'm playing Das Effects, some remix. And he's like, what song is this? And you see all the moms and dads like bobbing their head, and then the other kids are like, what's this? So
It's so great.
yeah, it all comes back around,
It all
and our
comes back
music
around.
knowledge, we just keep building it up and then get to apply it to different ways. I saw you were just doing gigs in Italy and jazz festivals and like all kinds of stuff. So you're able to tap into all your musical loves and then apply your skills to that, right?
I think there's something to be said too about being versatile, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a part of why we've been able to do this as long as we've been able to and successfully is
Right.
because you can do that. You could rock the 90s hip hop set. You could go, in the rare occasion you get to do like a jungle,
Yeah. Very
a jungle
rare.
thing, right? But it's like you could do that if the mission calls for it, you're gonna be able to handle
I'm
it.
ready. Exactly.
So I love that. And DJs, but yeah, so those were my like drum and bass jungle DJ heroes. But in Atlanta, we had so many dope house DJs, and we also got everybody from New York. We got everybody from Detroit that would come through and get everybody from Louis Vega and Spinna and Babito and all those people. So those were all my heroes too. And I mean, really, the DJs that like you would go listen to them and learn something.
Yes.
Those were my favorite DJs.
The best. Yeah. That's amazing. And then so that led into eventually you having that House of Blues residency.
Yeah. So fast forward way after being a bedroom DJ.
Yeah.
At the
and what
House
was
of
that
Blues.
like? Like, were you opening for groups? Were you in a certain room? Like,
So House of Blues. So yeah. So I did open. Like I opened for Kanye, but this was I think before his first record dropped. I opened for The Roots and folks like that.
Yeah.
They would have me open for them though only because they knew that I could, music wise. But other than that, I was in the Foundation Room.
okay.
Which you remember the Foundation
Yeah.
Room. So people that don't know, never went to the Foundation Room. Essentially, it was the room that was like next to the dressing rooms for the artists. So it was like the VIP for the artists and their family and friends and whatnot upstairs in the club. And yeah. So that's how that started.
And then so you ended up meeting Prince through that.
Yeah, so
And that leads to like your guys' whole long relationship and all the
to my whole life changed.
mentorship and just your life now, right? And a lot of your relationships now. And
I mean, he elevated my whole, again, going back to being this like underground purist DJ,
Yeah.
And not to say that I, wouldn't have maybe found another path to having this really expansive career, but I don't know. He elevated me into a space of like just people and that I would meet and gigs that I don't know that I ever would have, that I would have ever been in those spaces otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, from all of my time with him, it's just, there's always opportunities that come where I'm always thanking him, and I'm always just giving my gratitude to him because, I mean, God, and that's just as a on some gig stuff, you know,
Right,
as a
right.
DJ. That's not even, you know, in all the other ways that he changed my life. But
Right.
but just on that alone, it's like he made it so it's, you know, I'm a homeowner and I'm able to take care of my child, and I've been able to take care of my family in really challenging times, and
Right.
just wow, just such
Yeah.
a blessing.
No, such a blessing. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you learned how to kind of move in the industry in a way,
Oh
right?
man, yeah, that too, all of that. And I mean, you know, being around somebody like him, I mean, I saw so many wild things. I saw.
I mean, I can't even imagine.
the best of the best.
Just hearing
and
those
the,
Dave
the
Chappelle
worst
stories,
of the worst,
you know, which
know?
yeah.
Yo, like, and just the way people would change around him, like. I mean, I've just seen people act a damn fool. Let's just say that. Like,
I mean,
I've seen
sure,
somebody. I remember we were. I don't know. I think we went to go see somebody else play somewhere, and we were like in I don't know if it was like a stadium, you know, like the end of this really long hallway.
Yeah.
And we're just standing there talking, and next thing we know, like we hear something, we look, and there's this woman running full force towards us, right? Towards him, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, what are you gonna do when you get there? Are you gonna tackle him? Like, what are you gonna do?
Right.
You know, and she's just like running towards him, you know, and then of course security like intercepted her before she could get to him. But like just wild. People
Right. She probably didn't even know what she was doing.
Didn't know-
It was just like her body in action.
She was like, it's him.
It's Prince. Go.
Yeah.
That's
So-
crazy. You have any other stories or memories that you want to share, like about, or just crazy experiences or places you got to go?
So many. I mean, my God, I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I would say, you know, okay. On that note, going to hear music, you know, he took me to see all my favorite artists.
Wow.
You know, he took me to see Radiohead for the first time. He took me to see Shaka Khan for the first time. He took me to see Stevie Wonder for the first time. He took me to see Bjork for the first time, which he knew was like, you know, Sugar Cubes.
Yes, that shirt is
Shout out
super
to
dope.
Sugar
I saw it
Cubes.
when you came in.
You know, Jill Scott. Who else? I saw so many incredible performers thanks to him. And I think, you know, some of my favorite memories are like just, you know, our connection through music and books and movies. And I don't know. I guess a random great memory is I was obsessed, before I met him, I was obsessed with Sign of the Times record. That's like one of my favorite records of his. And before we met, I was known as the girl. Actually, you remember Valita and I used to have a jungle night?
Yeah.
So I was known as the girl that at the end of the jungle, drum and bass, and deep house night would always play a Prince track, right? And so I would always play something from Sign of the Times. I'd play like Ballad of Dorothy Parker, or If I Was Your Girlfriend, and, you know, very not in the same vibe as like what we had been doing all night. And I remember there would be people who, they would come thank me. They'd be like, thank you, you know, for playing this, that, and the third.
Of course.
And so even though it totally, you know, wasn't a part of the vibes of that night. And so anyway, after we met, I went to Paisley Park, and he showed me the Sign of the Times movie for the first time. I didn't even know it existed. And my mind was just blown, and I got to see it, you know, just me and him sitting there in the room, one of the rooms where they recorded a lot of it, and
Crazy.
you know, just stuff like that, where it's like, wow, I'm really living my dream. Like, this is dope. You know?
Right. Oh, that's amazing. And then, I mean, from there, you've worked with so many other artists as like a tour DJ and on TV shows and stuff, right? Like, you travel with Khalees and some other people, right? CeeLo, Pharrell.
Bruno, Pharrell.
Yeah, I remember the Bruno tour. You were like the opener for the whole tour in Europe and Africa. Was that it?
Yep, that was dope. And then we came and did it in the States. And I mean, he had like, you know, the most legendary openers for that. So I really opened for for everybody else on the US tour, but that was such a beautiful experience. And again, like more full circle stuff, because Bruno had actually seen me at House of Blues when I was playing in the Foundation Room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and because he was playing like a showcase or something that, you know, he was playing, just coming up, just starting out. And yeah, it's, life is wild.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, his show is really dope, and his band.
Such a good show.
It's almost like a DJ band type thing from what I've seen.
Mixing it up. And I mean, he's one of the few, and especially on that scale and that level, that's like, real musicians, and his mic is on and he's dancing and singing and, obviously great with, stage presence and with the crowd. And it's just,
so
I think in this new era of, I don't know, whatever's going on, it's just that's very rare now.
Yeah, that's why it's cool to see him and Anderson .Paak together, because they're like totally different and two peas in a pod, like the same, and they're, their whole project together is amazing. And
that was dope.
Yeah, and seeing Anderson DJ now.
Oh, that's right, he's a DJ.
Yeah, he's a DJ. He's all vinyl DJ. So yeah,
as one should be.
Yes, yeah,
if you're gonna really be about it.
Exactly. His show is dope, though. I like it a lot. And I've seen it, like, evolve over time. And he'll get on the drums, and he has a trumpet player with him. And
oh, that's tight.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
Okay, I understand.
Pretty dope. What about, like, stuff we were talking about earlier, like having such a long career and having managers versus not having managers, and having social media, and, like... we've been through all of it. We've been doing this since before social media, since we had to print up a flyer or throw your own party, which I know you've thrown your own parties, and do Soul in the Horn with Natasha Diggs. I mean,
love that party.
Oh my God, so dope.
It's so great.
I was in the south of France, and I got to see her at D Nice's event, and it was the best. I mean,
it was a Soul in the Horn, or was it?
No, she was like doing her thing at his club
party.
Quarantine. Yeah, it was just kind of like we were in south of France, and it was just like, I don't know what it was, but it was
fabulous.
Insane. Yeah, it was fabulous. I was
is.
lucky to be there. I was just like, I got my little spot. It's so crowded in here, but she was just killing it. And
she's ill.
Yeah, to see you guys together is so cool. But I mean, what's your what's been your experience of having a manager, not having a manager? Like, is there pros or cons, and what do you like better?
So, having a manager, it's, on one hand, it's going back to having been in the game for so long.
Yeah.
I feel very blessed in that, I'm not dependent on an agent or a manager to sustain and to have really amazing gigs coming through. However, and we were talking about this earlier, like, to have a team to be able to just focus on the creative is huge. And, I've managed myself, I've had managers, and, managing myself is like, okay, so you're doing all the details, all the things, and then you also have to show up and be creative. And especially now with the child, it's like, there's no time for that. There's no time for that. So, with the right manager, it's a beautiful thing, or the right agent or the right team, you can just do so much more. I mean, I've learned that over the years as a one-man band. I mean, I feel like I've done a lot, but you can only do so much. Yeah. It's just never going to go past a certain point by yourself, without that support. So, so that's how I feel about managers and agents. and social media. Ooh, that's another one. It's like, I get it. It's a necessary.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it necessarily evil, because it's not evil to everybody. But for me, I'm not somebody who loves being visible. It's, going back to even to like us not wanting to be on a schedule. I don't like feeling forced, like I have to do something. And obviously with social media, it's like, okay, I did this gig and now I need to tell people I did the gig, even though I already did the gig, and I got to find the words and the right picture and all the things, right? And, on one hand, it's like, I absolutely hate it. And on the other hand, I've gotten gigs through this platform, and something that I posted, however long ago that's already passed, and now it's bringing in a new opportunity. So, I have a love-hate. I would love to find somebody to just like do the whole thing for me. But then also, I don't know, does that work? Because I feel like the people who do follow me are people who actually have seen me or know me in some shape or form. Like,
Yeah, they might be able to tell or feel it's inauthentic in a way.
I had somebody actually who tried to take over my social media once, and it was a disaster. Like,
why?
She was posting the quotes and stuff. The God bless her, but like, you know, she would put like I don't know, just some shit that I would never say.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
I guess I actually have to get on here and speak for myself, because in theory it was great because she was just like putting up the content and bop bop bop, but like the quotes and stuff she would put, you know, it was just like, oh my God.
Right. It's not you.
Not me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
All right, that makes sense. We had Lady Shaw. Shout out to Lady Shaw.
Lady
she wrote
Shaw.
in. She
Hey,
said,
girl.
how do you handle childcare while traveling the
Hey,
world
mama.
as a DJ, with a laughing emoji?
Yep. She's a fellow mom DJ. So, I mean, the way I've navigated it is, before Issa started school, now it's a little bit tougher. Before she started school, that child went with me everywhere. So it just had to be built into the budget. And, you know, in a way, I feel like children already, in so many ways, I feel make it easier to start saying no to things, right? Like in life, because you just recognize like you have a finite amount of energy and time, and they need so much of it that it's like, you know, other stuff just, it has to be a no. Yeah. And so it kind of got me into that space of like not being afraid to turn gigs and things down if people didn't have the budget, or if it just didn't, you know, if I was going to be killing myself to make it to this gig. Yeah. And, you know, by the grace of God, it's like I've been able to have enough stuff coming in to sustain and be able to take her with me. And you know, it's expensive. I had to bring my mom, you know, somebody else. So it's like really a party of 3.
It's not like you're leaving her in the hotel room. Yeah,
it's a party of 3 traveling now. But it was also, that whole time period was so beautiful because it also in so many ways brought me closer to my mom. Or I'd take my dad, you know, with me to these gigs, and obviously my daughter. And you know, just, you know, my daughter's been all over the world, and like that part is so dope because I always imagined, you know, when I would be a mother, when I would have a family, that I would want to be this like, you know, little hippie artsy family traveling the world. And the fact that that's happened is like so dope. But but now that she's in school, it's a lot trickier. So I have to make arrangements. I do still have to say no to things because, you know, as you know, as a parent, it just is what it is. It's like if she gets sick, then that's it.
Right. She doesn't want her mom leaving.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's not easy.
It is hard. Yeah. And the world is set up to be on the weekends, you know, for everyone else. So it's so hard. Like I'm constantly, like we have some camping trip for school, you know, and I keep getting offered gigs on the 2 days that it is, and I keep turning them down, and it's so hard for me every time. I'm like, is there any other weekend, or, you know, and then I'm hoping that some huge paying gig doesn't come in and then I have to do it. But I'm, same thing. I don't want to miss it. I've missed every camping trip. You know, he's in 5th grade. He probably won't want me to go on one after 6th or 7th grade, you know, so you just want to be there. There's no going back. There's no pausing.
Never get this time back. No, that's my, like, not motivation, but it's like what I think about if I am turning something down, or if I'm recognizing that I can't, you know, stretch myself to do this thing or whatever. And I'm, you know, you start feeling like, damn, like, am I making the right choice? But
I know, on both sides.
Right.
You don't know.
And, you know, but at the end of the day, I feel like when it comes to my daughter, I will never get this time back with her. So I'm not going to remember what gig I didn't do or what money I didn't get. It's just not, it's not going to happen. And I've found that trusting and like surrendering to it, it's like, okay, that thing isn't doable and doesn't work out. And then something will come around that fits and works, you know.
Always. But it's hard to tap into that faith or trusting, or that's scary. One of the hardest parts about our job that I try to explain to people, like, even when people are like, oh, you're killing it, or everything's good, like, yes, it's great, but you still don't know sometimes. You're still surfing on this wave, and you still have to give in. You need that faith, and you need that trusting yourself and I guess the universe, or that everything's going to work out. But it's hard sometimes, especially when other people are depending on you and there's money involved. And
that part, because it's never not been like tricky, right? But now that you have a child, now that you have somebody depending on you,
it's different.
I'm a single mom, so it's like, I'm always feeling like I'm on the edge, even when I'm not. Even when things are good, it's like I always kind of have that, like, oh snap, like what's next, or where's the next, and But if I look back on my whole history, it's like I never had a plan. I never knew what was coming next, and somehow here we are. So, but more importantly, like I said, what I do know I can't get back is the time with my daughter. I can always find money. Money will always find me,
Yeah.
That time with her, though, that's it.
Yeah.
So
it's so true. And you have to keep that in mind.
If I got to make a choice, it's going to be her,
What are other ways that you like stay grounded or sort of fight off that anxiety feeling of like, oh, I need to do this gig, or, I don't know if you have that, but I mean, that's the kind of thing we were talking about.
All the time. And that's the funny thing, right? It doesn't matter how long you do this. I'm always like,
Exactly. Same. So it's like, you have to have these like practices or routines, or I don't know. I'm still learning and still trying and still experimenting, but of ways to, because I want to be as calm as I can around my family and in my own self, just to give that to myself, in my own body. Mm-hmm. But it's such a crazy life that we live.
It really is. And I think, I'm a sensitive person by nature. And so what I've found, especially at this stage in my life, is doing, nervous system work, everything from meditation to doing energy work. I have my different practitioners and healers that I go to, and then I do my own healing work, and a lot of, prayer, meditation, tapping into ancestral work. I'm always in conversation with my ancestors, and that's it. That's what sustains. And even then, it's still a lot, but we do have support, right? Whether it's our nervous system, our ancestors, or the calmness of our mind, which is really the reality, right? Because we have all this like white noise and chatter and all these things, and it's not necessarily real. It feels real, but it's just in here. It's like, oh no, like I'm breathing. I have my arms, my legs, I'm healthy in this moment, my daughter is healthy. Like, no, technically everything is okay, you know, but the external stuff will have you believing and thinking that you're not okay, and even the money thing, like it's a trip because, I come from people that come from extreme poverty. And so, there's this feeling of like it's a poverty mentality thing where it's like, certain things are not attainable, and certain things you don't even allow yourself to dream that it could happen because it's just not possible. And right there, obviously, you're cutting off the flow, right? Yeah. And to this day, I feel like one of the things that has gotten me to where I'm at and will take me to wherever I'm going is just my belief, not to say I don't doubt and get nervous and be like, am I tripping? Like, what's happening right now? But I know that I'm going to be taken care of, and it's in not just the money thing, right? It's like in a universal sense. And if you can like feel that and know that, then it's true. Yeah. It's true. As much as whatever the number in your bank account is or whatever, it's also true that like I can go out and feel the sun on my face. Like nobody can take that away from me, right? Or no amount of money can take that from me. Or, look at my daughter's beautiful face and see her smile and happy about something. It's like, that's it. That's all real too. And so I feel like when we kind of just focus on that reality, then the money and all that shit just comes in anyway.
Yes. And that's what it's always been, but it's hard to remind yourself of that. It's always been trust what you're doing, do the right thing. The money does find you, what you said. It's because everyone's we got to go get the money. It's like, really, it will come to you. Everything, the right thing will come to you if you just follow your inside feelings, I guess, and do the right thing.
And just be.
Yeah.
We don't always have to be doing, I mean, I don't know. I found in my stillness and in my just being all the things that I feel are, remarkable or like special or something that like I really care about that has happened in my life. Let's just say even just on the surface on some career stuff, right? Like even just on a career tip, it's like the things that have come to me that are the most amazing special things literally came to me in my stillness, like me just being me not doing, not going after it, and not to say that you shouldn't have goals and go for your goals, not to say that, but like the things that are the most, mean the most to me, they all came to me. Yeah. I didn't go after any of them. They all literally came to me. Right. And when I look back on the things that I did effort for and I was like, oh, I need this thing. How do I get this thing? It's like I would get the thing and then come to find out that like, it's not what I thought, or maybe I don't even really want the thing after I got it, or I didn't get the thing. And it was like, wow, I put so much energy and whatever into it. And like I said, in the end, the things that matter to me the most, the things that even other people think are special, right, for outside looking in, are things that all I did was just me. And it came to me,
Totally. I think that's so important. That's like people should rewind that, listen to it a bunch of times because there's a lot of lessons and truths within that. And it sounds almost like common sense, but it's the kind of things that we ignore or don't pay attention to in a way. And so we've been programmed and the system is not set up. I mean, where do you get your worker bees from if everybody is in that mentality, so I get it. So we're working against this way of being and these teachings that are not helpful for us and don't feel good and all of that. So that's why it's not easy. That's why sometimes you're second guessing and questioning, like, am I just being still? Is that really doing the right? I really should be doing something, shouldn't I? Right? Like, shouldn't I be doing something? Yes, that's true. All right, well, we can get out of here soon, but I just wanted to ask you, you talked about doing the remix for Shaka Khan and coming out. That's so amazing. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
And you've done so much. We discussed a lot, all the amazing things you've done, and we haven't even talked about a lot of them. I mean, you've been in magazines as a model. You've DJ'd for Obama. You've done so many things that, we don't have time to get into all of it. People can Google you, But are there other, and I know we were just talking about not having goals and things coming to you, but are there things that you are striving for or that you want to do or kind of on the horizon that you're looking forward to?
For sure, yes. I am really wanting and looking forward to doing music supervision.
I feel you on that.
Right?
Yes,
like,
totally.
We could do that. That's what we do. Yeah. We do that. Yeah. So, and I think, also this musical, these musical libraries that we are, it's like, to me, it just makes sense. So that's one of the things. And then definitely my nonprofit work is very important to me, working with the kids and also working on behalf of single mothers and families below the poverty line. There's some organizations that I support and am really excited about, Lift LA being one of them, and now Sola Impact, who I'm working with in South Central. So that work for me feels so purposeful, and I feel like that's where my life is going, and then definitely more production remixes. Like that's just, it's just fun.
Right.
It's like that's the type of thing I would do for free.
Exactly.
Don't tell that to the labels, but
Yes.
I would do that for fun in my bedroom,
Yeah, and you never know what that's going to lead to. That's going to, you doing that from the most genuine perspective is probably going to lead to things you never dreamt of, I'm
like, per this whole spiel.
Exactly.
We'll see. And that's, that's what excites me about this life too, is like, so much of this, although in a lot of ways I did daydream a lot of this stuff up, so many things that have happened, it's like, it's better than what I could have come up with, right? So I'm just always excited about like, what's around the corner. Like you never know what's going to happen. And it's in a good way, and I'm excited about that.
That's amazing.
Maybe some new app will come that'll make it so we could just DJ from our beds or something,
exactly.
and then we become, multi-millionaires off of that. Like, who knows? All these apps and all this world of apps is like the technology, like, it's exciting.
Oh yeah, it's next level. Like we were talking earlier, I'm putting together this virtual or pre-recorded set, where I have to film myself, and already just like it's been, half annoying and trying to figure it out, but also discovering all these crazy features they have. And once I get it dialed in, it'll be nice. But yeah, there's the pros and cons of both.
It's so
the tech stuff.
I mean, God, yeah, I'm so analog. I'm such an analog girl. I'm like, the tech is tough. But I mean, to be able to get paid to play from your room, like,
no, it's unreal. Right before I came to meet you, like I'd set up this green screen. My room looked pretty dope. Like I had the camera set, everything was working perfect. I sent in like a trial video, and they wrote me back and were like, try to do this and that. And then I just kind of had that moment of like, I'm so happy and amazed that I'm able to do this. Like how I just looked at like, look what you did. Like this is so dope. You have a house and you have a room in it that you're DJing from, and someone's paying you for some reason to send them yourself DJing a video. Like I never could have dreamt that,
Living
I mean,
the dream.
I dreamt it, but didn't think it would be real,
Right.
So
like literally living the dream right now.
Yeah, it's nice to be good to give yourself either be, have gratitude or be proud of yourself or,
Oh, and gratitude, going back to you asking about, how do you manage all of this life, and that gratitude. And I feel like that also brings in more blessings.
Yes.
The more you can find, and there's always, even on your worst day, there you can find something to be thankful for. And doing that is just like a portal. Like it just opens up a portal that just like brings in more blessings. I'm never not shocked at how that works,
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, even yesterday I was starting to complain. I was like, all right, stop. I'm like, you get to do this. You're lucky.
You're right. You get
there
to
is
do
a couple annoying things, but, could be a lot worse.
There's the pressure of like, this is now not just for fun. This is how we make a living, right? So of course it's not always going to be fun, but even in its worst moment, I mean, that's same thing. I've had to switch in my head because, let's say it's like some gig or let's say a corporate gig or something. And I'm just like, oh my God, just like, why am I, why? And I'm getting paid to play records for a living.
Yes.
Getting paid well to do it. Like, what is there really to complain about,
Totally.
So,
yeah.
Good
All
problems to have.
Yes, I agree. All right. That's a good note to end on. Thank you so much for coming in, taking the time and sharing your stories and everything, all your insight. I think it's super valuable to people listening and for me to hear, and it's inspirational, and what you've done over the years and what you've built is so incredible, from the DJ side of things, the music, the mother, just everything you represent is so dope, and you're so genuine, and I think you deserve everything and more. So thank you.
Thank you, love. I appreciate you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you out there.
Out
in those Instagram streets.
Yeah, out in the digital or maybe real streets. Although one last thing, can I?
Oh yeah, please.
I already know that you on the same wavelength with me, but people ask me, they'll come into town. They're like, oh, where should I go? What should I do? And I'm just like,
oh, in LA?
I have no idea what's happening in the streets. Like if I'm not in the club for a gig, I have no information.
And I just have to say that over and over.
Over and over.
That's what I like. My friend's here from New York, and he's like, "Oh, I'm here. My girl's never been here. What do we do?" I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like, "I'm DJing at this one place Thursday night. That's all I know."
Right.
Like
you're like, that's it.
I texted people and looked up a few things. I'm like, you could go here. This is a cool bar. It's like I never. Yeah, I don't want to go out unless there's some sort of reason or
a very special reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Or are you working? That's it.
Yeah. But I know. It's probably like people live in Vegas, too. People are like, I'm in Vegas. And they're like, all right.
Right. People who live in Vegas are like, I'm
happy for you.
Yeah.
You look online. You see all those big clubs that I don't want to go to anymore.
So funny.
All right. Well,
all right.
we will see you soon. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, love.
Peace.
Bye. Peace.
All right, what a wonderful episode. I had so much fun talking to Rashida. I've known her for a while, but getting to sit down and talk to her like that was incredible. And I mean, she has so much great insight that I think everybody can learn from. She's lived such a cool life and made such an amazing life for herself and her family through DJing, and it's possible for everyone. Just gotta follow your gut and make it happen. So thank you guys for tuning in. Find us everywhere podcasts are available. You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify or Apple or anywhere. The 20 Podcast is produced by Beatsource. Join us next week for more interviews as we discuss music that matters to DJs. I'm DJ Spider signing off. Peace.